Hello, viewers. You are welcome back to my channel. I'm happy to have you by again. Okay, today we want to discuss properties of matter. Yes, because as you go on to do chemistry, you will see them discussing properties of matters, but not just as properties of matters. You hear them saying, what are the physical properties of this? Or what are the chemical properties of this? Physical properties and chemical properties of everything you're going to study will be asked. And it is your duty as a scientist, as a student, as a teacher to understand what we mean by physical and chemical properties. So, what are the properties of matter, as the case may be? Properties of matters are those characteristics used to describe, to identify, and to classify a substance. That is the property of that substance. You know, all substances are made up of matter. You remember, we have done matter before. You can go down to the video to recheck. Understand? And they fall into two places. Yes. We have the physical properties and the chemical properties. Now we'll come to physical properties. What do we mean by physical properties? Of course, physical properties are those things that can be observed, measured, or tested without altering the chemical composition of that substance. Have you seen it? As you can see me now, if you want to tell the physical properties of myself, when you look at me now, you can say, okay, she's dark in complexion. Or some people say it's chocolate. Okay? You can say she's fat. Huh? You can say she's big. I'm not fat, I'm big. You can say she's average. Understand? Those things you can observe. You will see and identify me immediately. It's called the physical properties. Understand? But now, okay, let's write it down. Under these physical properties, they are still subdivided into intensive properties and extensive properties. Now, we want to talk of the intensive. So, under the physical properties, we have intensive properties. So, when we talk of intensive properties, what are we talking of? What do we mean by intensive? These are the characteristics of substance that enables you to identify it immediately. It does not discuss or talk about the amount of matter. When we talk of intensive properties, we're talking of those physical or chemical properties that are inside a property, no matter the amount of that property, regardless of the amount of the matter inside that substance, it is still there. Understand? Whether you have the substance or you doubled it, you increase it or decrease it, that substance, you see it, it is there. It does not affect it. That is the intensive properties. We have a lot of them. Example is color. The color of a substance is a physical property, an intensive property inside physical property. When you get substance, you identify it by its color. This is a substance, and this is a substance. This is a substance. This is three different substances. Now listen, this is salt. Now listen. This is gari, cassava flour, a type of cassava flour. And this is sugar. Now listen it. Are you seeing the difference in color? So color is a physical property. Not just that it is a physical property, it is an intensive physical property. This now, if I should put small in my hand, have you seen the one in my hand? It's still the same color. Have you seen it? The color doesn't change. That is intensive property. Understand? Intrinsic property does not change despite the amount. Amount does not affect it. Have you seen it? Then the second one we have density. When we are talking of density, we are talking of how compact the particles in it is. Whether it's packed, highly packed, or loosely packed. You know, if it's highly packed, it will be more heavy, dense. That is density. Dense, heavy. And that determines whether it will float in a solvent or whether it will not float. That is whether it will sink. Let's use the universal solvent, which is water. If I should put this glass in water, we expect it to either float or not. Because it's dense, as this one is dense, take your glass of dense, you cannot compare this. This one is light. So this one I say is less dense. Understand? So it's a physical property. Are you seeing this? I can easily say that water. Why? Because it's dense. Mere using my hand, I say that this one is denser, it's heavy. The particles here inside this glass is packed. Understand? They are tightly packed. While this one is loosely packed. So it's less dense. So when we put these two things in water, I expect this one to sink, while this one will not sink, rather it will float. So density is a physical property. Understand? Not just physical, but intensive physical property. Do you understand? Another one is we have odour. We have odour. Odour is also an intensive physical property. Understand? It does not affect the amounts. Whether you bring in small egg, rotten egg here, or big small rotten egg here, it will be oozing. Have you seen it? So there are things we have that by their odor you know what they are. Like when you bring an alcohol, you can tell this is an alcohol by the smell. So your ability to identify it without doing anything to the substance, without doing much to it, that is our intensive physical property. Another one is conductivity. Conductivity is also a physical property. It tells us whether something can allow electricity or heat to pass through it. It is a physical property. You see, it does not alter the composition of that substance. Understand? Yes. Remember that physical property does not alter the position of that substance. Understand? This melting and boiling point. What do we mean by a melting and boiling point? If I begin to heat this substance, at a time it will begin to melt to become a liquid. That state that it begins to form liquid is called its melting point. Understand? So I can use my thermometer and check the temperature. To melt this, to know its melting point, is a physical property. Also, boiling point. Whenever you bring a liquid and begins to heat it till it begins to boil, that boiling time, if you put your thermometer there, that is the boiling point of that substance you are boiling. Understand? So when you are boiling something or melting something, that also is a physical property. Do you understand? Okay, then we talk of hardness. How hard that thing is. How much stress that thing can receive before you deform it. How much you have to beat or hammer that thing before you can deform it. That is hardness. We have a lot of them. We have malleability. We have ductility. Malleability, can we hammer it? Hammer it to become a thin sheet. Then for ductility, can we draw a wire out of it? Like you know that copper. When you see copper, copper is actually a heavy substance, but we can draw wire out of it that we use for our electricity. Have you seen it? So ductility is whether we can draw it into wire. Do you understand? So all these things are intensive properties. Do you understand? Okay, now we come to another property of matter, which is called extensive property. Extensive property depends mainly on the amount of substance inside it, amount of particles inside it, amount of matter inside it. Understand? And when we come to extensive, we now talk of mass. You know what mass is? The amount of matter inside a substance. We also talk of length. We talk of length. That is when we want to measure the gap between one point or the other points of that substance. Understand? Then we talk of length. Understand? Then we now also talk about volume. Whether it can occupy a 3D dimensional shape. 3D dimensional shape, like this one now. I see this substance here has occupied this 3D dimensional shape. Understand? You know what I told you about 3D dimensional shape? So that means it has a length. Have you seen it? It has the width and it has the height. Understand? Very good. So mass, length, volume, entropy, all of them, when we talk of all these things, we are talking of the extensive properties. I hope with this you understand so much what we mean by physical properties of a substance. Okay, there. Now we'll come to chemical properties. So what then is chemical properties? Chemical properties are those things you observed when a substance undergo a chemical change or reaction, or during a chemical change or reaction. Understand? It must result to a new substance. A new substance must be formed. Chemical properties are those things being observed when a substance undergoes a chemical change resulting to a new substance. There must be a new thing formed. There must be a new thing formed. It alters the chemical composition of that substance. Have you seen it? Unlike physical properties. Physical properties do not alter. It does not alter the chemical composition of that substance, but chemical properties will. Understand? When you expose that substance in a particular environment, it tends to behave this way. How does it behave when you see other substance? How does it behave when you leave it in a particular condition? Making it result to a new substance entirely. You like to find the chemical properties. Okay, this is chemical properties as I have explained already. Understand? Now, what are the examples of chemical properties? We have number one, flammability. When we talk of flammability, we are talking of how easily or how hard it takes that thing to catch fire. Understand? How easily. You can see some car that carry some goods, they will say highly flammable. That means it catches fire almost immediately. Understand? So it is a chemical properties. Because if that thing catch fire, it will not have the same look. Will it? It will not. It will change to another new substance. For example, if this should catch fire, have you seen this? How flammable is this? How flammable is this? Hold this thing for me. How flammable it is. You don't know how flammable it is until you expose it to fire. Please don't do this now. So, I think it catches fire almost immediately. I seen it. It catches fire almost immediately. Woo! Don't do this now, Tobo! Have you seen it? Oh, this is quite dangerous. Don't do this at home. Yeah, it is quite dangerous. Understand? It's because of our teaching sake. That's how we do this. Okay? You see how flammable it is? Even when I try to blow it, see what happened. Understand? Now you see what is formed. A new substance is formed. Have you seen it? So this is a chemical property. Okay, now we come to reactivity. Reactivity. When we talk of reactivity, what is it telling us? It's telling us how does that thing behave when it meets other substance. How does that thing interact with other substance? How does it interact with water? How does it interact with air? Understand? Or other elements? Have you seen it? That is what we mean by reactivity. Now we are talking of toxicity. Toxicity. How does this thing react when it sees a living thing? When it interacts with a living thing, how does it react? Will it be fatal? Understand? Will it be harmless? Will it be harmful? That is toxicity. It is also a chemical property. It is a property. Then another one is pH. That's when we are talking about how acidic or how basic that thing is. The amount of hydrogen ion that thing has. So we now come to corrosiveness. Corrosive. When you say something is corrosiveness. What is corrosiveness? What does that mean? It means that can it damage other substance when it gets in contact with those substances? Understand? Can it damage it? Whether it's a organic or inorganic substance. Will it be able to damage it? Cause it to rust, to get damaged. That is corrosiveness. We have other ones, but we are going to stop here. Understand? But I hope in this particular lesson, you'll be able to tell what is properties of matter. You can tell the physical properties and the chemical properties. And under the physical properties, you can identify and tell what is intensive property and extensive property. Understand? With the wide phone we had, please, if this is helpful to you, if you learn something, if you like it, if you love it, if you smile, subscribe, follow, like, share. Thank you.
And comments.